What's happening?
Hey.
Hey.
Well, we were going to have music and stuff, right?
We do. We did. We did.
And we had a beautiful little graphic, but we might be having some technical difficulties. So
I think we did. I think that we didn't know.
oh, really?
That's okay.
I don't, well, whatever it is, here we are.
Here we are.
Hey, Jen, how's it going?
It's going good. How are you doing?
I'm doing good. Still have my little bit of my eye infection thing,
Right.
but I think I look kind of cool,
You do.
with
I
the
look kind of
background.
stoned. There's something about Zoom that just makes me look like I've just been smoking a bag all by myself. But anyway, it kind of adds to the overall atmosphere, I find.
That's hilarious. Yeah, it's all good. So this week we're talking about scars.
We are. And God knows
Ooh.
we have a few. We could
Well,
actually do a marathon on scars, couldn't we?
yes, especially emotional ones.
Of
I've got a
course.
lot of those.
Of course. We could. Remember, well, hey, Christine, were you ever on that show with Dr. Don Dutton? Did you ever?
Yeah, Dr. Don Dutton. I think Beverly Elliott called him Dr. Billy Bob Button.
We could always switch tack and, like just open it up for blood.
Yeah, totally. Now, do you have a good scar story there, Jen?
Well, I do. I do.
Come on.
And
Let's hear
it's
it.
why I put it could be why I feel comfortable wearing a business suit, because I used to have to sleep in one. So,
In a business suit?
okay, so here it is. When I was working at Deviate, and that was in the 90s, and I was like the older server there, and so I lied about my age, and I wouldn't let the staff see me in daylight.
And Deviate is a bar, right?
Deviate was a restaurant, a place where people would go to be seen, to be picked up, to score, to do what they were doing. It was a hot spot, right?
And they also did some stand up and stuff there, right?
They did occasionally, they did.
Okay.
But mostly it was a place for people about 10 years younger than myself to go and hang out. But I was given a job, gratefully. I was completely broke, and I didn't really have a reasonable place to live, and I was trying to go to school, and it was just mayhem. So after working there for about a year, I had a roommate that kept trying to cut himself with an X-Acto knife, and was saying that the Hells Angels had come by and were trying to collect the rent. So I had to get the hell out of there. Like, I had to get away from Darren. He was bad.
Darren. Okay.
Darren. Yeah.
Darren.
Darren. And not like Darren Stevens. It was more like Darren the Devil. So anyway, one of my friends that I worked with, Erin, who I'm still friends with to this day, she was living in an office with her boyfriend. And it was an office on Cordova and what's that street there? It's close to Canby. It's Canby and Cordova. So they were living in an office upstairs on the corner there. And he was a photographer, allegedly. A lot of people that were coming and going at Deviate all had alleged professions as covers for their secret lives. So anyway, I had nowhere to go, and Aaron said, "Come live with us." And there was just a bit of a hitch. Like, it was an office, so we couldn't let the other people in the building know that we were actually living there because it was illegal. So we had to put on business clothes to go out into the hallway. So there were times when I had to have the suit ready to go, and it would be like suit and pajamas to go out into the hallway.
Wow.
Anyway, it was a loft, but really it was just like a giant. It was a former kind of orchestral space, and so there was a little stage, and there were these beautiful windows. But it wasn't. There was no loft space for me. It was a shelf. It was a shelf like raised high up above the ground, and I had to climb up to my shelf, my bed shelf, which was a piece of plywood with a mattress on it.
Wow.
I had to climb up on a house ladder.
So,
And it
so
all
you
went.
basically, so you basically were like the original elf on a shelf kind of
I
thing,
was an
right?
elf. I was a bit big for an elf, but and that could have led into my difficulties. I was a bit big to be scaling the shelf and the ladder. So the thing about it was, is though, unlike lofts where they actually have walls, I could hear everything that everybody was doing in all of the other rooms. So yeah, I know it was a bit X-rated and a little too much. It was TMI. It was, yeah, no, there were vibrators, things were happening. But anyway,
Is that a vibrator
so
or is that like a smoothie being made?
yeah, no, first I fell for it's an electric toothbrush, and then I could hear nobody moans that much when they're brushing their teeth.
Oh,
So
oh God.
okay. So anyway, the Elf on a Shelf system had its flaws because, well, time management not my my go-to asset, and I was literally running a little bit late, trying to get to my arduous waitress job, and I had to work in like platformy rubber heels. So I'm going down the ladder in my platform boots, and I I fell. I went into outer space. It was almost like a somersault. And the weirdest thing was, and the kind of witchy poo hocus pocus end of things, I felt like I was going to fall on my neck, but mid-air, I was kind of twisted by a celestial force, and I landed on my wrist. But I broke the living shit out of it. And it's like, it was a scar that went all the way down my arm. So as if working at kind of a nihilistic, drug infused restaurant wasn't enough. It looked like I'd actually done some intentional self-harm.
Or
So,
had Darren over.
or had Darren over with his X-Acto knife. He finally got to me. Yeah. So yeah, he wanted to use it somehow. He wasn't using it at school at Emily Carr. So anyway, I had to go to the hospital. And the neatest thing, though, about when you have a really bad injury is that you get completely stoned. Like, I mean, the bone was sticking out of my arm, and I was like, hey, party. It's like I hadn't felt that kind of good in weeks. And really, it was like, this is awesome. And there was like blood dripping down my business jacket and pajamas as I went into St. Paul's, and joking around with the doctor. It's like, oh, I guess my tennis career is going to be a little bit affected. And he was just like horrified, because it was like he wasn't convinced that I could even open a door after this injury, right? So anyway, we got through it.
Wow.
And there was lots of drugs, and but I still had to waitress. So I was waitressing with a cast for a little while.
Ooh, that's
So
nice.
peace out to
Huh.
all of you people that are working at hard jobs and making shit money and have broken limbs, because I know what that's like.
Wow. And did people think that you tried to take yourself out of the game of
Yeah,
life?
my boss, who is really understanding.
Huh. Wow. Well, that's awesome. What a picture that painted.
Can I just
Um,
say that if it looks like you've inflicted harm on yourself, it doesn't help with the tips.
I thought it would. It's just like, oh man, she's about to check out.
No,
Why
it's
don't
more
we just
like,
make it rain for her?
yeah.
Wow. Okay. Well, I have a scar. Like everybody's got a scar story. I've got one too. And mine was happened to me when I was living in Nanaimo and I was probably like around, I don't know, 4 or 5, something like that. And my dad, who had built our house, had left a circular saw on the ground, on the floor, and in the basement. And I went
No.
down there and I by myself because I think he was having a coffee break, and I turned it on and it went and went right over my foot
Oh my
and
God.
almost completely severed my left big toe. And then I remember, like, I don't remember a lot about it. Like, I don't remember it actually happening, but I do have little snippets of memory of like, I guess my dad, carried me next door to where my aunt lived. And she was home. She was a nurse, and it hucked me into the big Buick. And I thought that my aunt was saying stuff like, "Oh, where's your toe? Where's your toe?"
Oh,
to like distract me, right? And although like that would be so incredibly cruel, right? Where's your toe? I don't know, it's off. But yeah, and I don't remember a lot more about, like, I don't remember the aftermath of it. But what I used to do was when I was at theater sports, somebody asked me one time, we were talking about scars, and I said, "Oh, well, I cut my left toe off, my left big toe." They're like, "No, you didn't. Fuck off, shut up." And I go, "Yeah, well, have you ever seen me in flip flops or barefoot?" And they're like, "Oh, no." And I go, "Yeah, well, because I don't have a big toe." And they're like, so they believed me until it was, a little, like a month later, I went, "Are you fucking idiots? Yeah, I have a fucking toe. But it used to amuse me a lot.
but did they sew it back on?
Yeah, it wasn't completely off, but it was mostly off. And now I had like across my toe, there's like this scar like this, just goes
Right.
across.
But
Yeah.
but how's the toe?
Toe's fine.
So it's
Toe's
not like
fine.
a dead thing that's just sort of attached.
Wouldn't that be charming? Lippa and her dead toe. I think it's a fringe show. Let's
It
make it
is.
into a
No,
fringe
the
show.
dead toes. It's like a band.
The dead toes.
The
Yes, there you go.
dead toes.
Yeah, no, it's perfectly. It moves and everything. Yeah,
Oh,
so there you
okay.
go.
Good. Okay.
So now we have. So the title of our show, I don't know whether it showed up, was "A Scar Is Born."
That's right.
So, and we had a little visual of Scar, the lion from The Lion King, which all look really fucking cool. But let's get this Scar story on the road.
Right.
What say you, Jen?
I say that's great because our first guest he's a scar and a star. He's both. He's a scarred star.
Scarred star, aren't we all?
Are you? Oh, we're doing Henry. Okay.
We're doing Henry. Yes.
Okay. I completely forgot. Must be the
Yeah.
scar. It's infecting my brain. Okay, Henry, how's it going?
Oh, really? I have 2 scar stories now.
You do?
Because Christine's story reminded me when I got a scar when I was like 4.
Okay, but wait, before you go into your 4-year-old self,
Yeah.
let me introduce you to the audience.
Oh, please.
Henry Ma is an actor, teacher, life coach, and former stand-up. We remember Henry from bad gigs that we did, and he's turned that ship around, and he's got a lovely wife named Bonnie. So give it up for the wonderful Henry Ma.
Henry!
Christine,
All right.
Jen, I love your scar stories too. Those are great. Those are awesome. But then it reminded me, oh, I have another scar story. But the one I will tell is the second one. This was like 30 years ago. This is like 1991 maybe. And I was involved with this men's group, and we would put on events for men's and women's groups. Like it was a community.
Right, but Henry.
Yeah.
This was the men's movement, right?
Yes, it was.
Part of the men's movement. So correct me if I'm wrong. I mean, I was busy, breaking limbs and working at Deviate in the 90s, but the men's movement it was guys would go out into the woods and drum and stuff.
Oh yeah, we did that. Oh yeah, we
Okay.
did all that.
And
Yeah.
archery, or like, so what went on in the men's, can you tell, or is it like the Masons?
Oh, no, absolutely. No, I can tell you. I won't use any names.
No, that's no good.
Yeah, I won't
No,
use any
go ahead.
names or ethnicities, because gender is pretty clear. It's like it was men. Yeah, we would do a
It's
lot,
fluid.
right? Well, now,
Gender's
now
a
there's more
construct.
categories. What's that?
Gender is a construct.
Yes. So we would get together, like there was workshops, there were weekend workshops, there was, but there were some weekend men's retreats where we literally go out to the wilderness and do stuff. I jokingly earlier said, dancing naked around the fire. No, we didn't do that. What we actually did was we actually, we would cut trail, mostly cut a lot of cutting trail.
Is that a euphemism for something?
Yes.
Cutting trail, you mean
Okay.
like taking, oh, that's my dog. My dog is getting excited about the men's movement.
As soon as I brought up pot, your dog starts barking, right? It's like,
Okay,
what,
I
there's
have to
weed?
take care of this. I'll be back. Kate,
Okay, cool. So yes, well, no, what we would do is we would like cut trails, because we were also connected to a group that would like they would flag areas where trails could be cut so that people have access to like hanging lakes and and other parts of BC or BC
Nice.
wilderness and stuff. Yeah, it was kind of cool. So we would do a lot of that stuff. So which was a lot of sort of that sweaty, grunty, men shoulder to shoulder, doing man shit in the wilderness type of thing. That was the men's movement. That was a manifestation of that. Hi, Norman.
So the men's movement is having like this most incredible effect on the animals. Like the dog is barking, the cat is meowing. Like,
Well,
why is that?
it's
Is it
that-
because, okay,
It's that testosteronic, animal magnetism.
It's just oozing out of you, Henry.
What-
That animal magnetism.
Absolutely oozing out of my verbiage, and my pores and all that stuff.
So
Yeah.
let me guess. Did
Yeah.
somebody dancing naked around a fire with trail cutting stuff scar you? Did that happen?
No, this was actually during one of our civil events where we were actually having a leadership meeting in Vancouver. And I took on the task of being what they call the production manager of that particular weekend event. So I booked the hall, and then I was to get the supplies for the weekend, make sure there was food, make sure there was water, and make sure all the tables and chairs were set up and all that stuff. And so this was the day before the event actually happened, thankfully, because it didn't happen on the first day of the event, because I wouldn't have made it. So I was rushing around like in a mad panic, getting all this stuff, because I was just young and stupid. I was in such total overwhelm, yet managing everything very as well as I could. And so here I am. I'm driving to I don't. This is 30 years ago, so I don't remember all the exact details, but I do remember I was driving to North Vancouver, across the Iron Workers Bridge. I was in a mad rush to get some fucking thing. I have no idea. I can't even remember what it was. And in my unconscious state of overwhelm, somehow I lost control of the car. I was driving a 65 Mustang. I hate having to say that because it was such a gorgeous car and I killed it. So I was driving along, and then I lost control of the car and I went sideways and it spun, and then I literally smashed into the sidewall of the Iron Workers Bridge. And thankfully it's a one-car accident, so no one else got damaged except me and my car. And so it smashes into the sidewall. My head goes forward because there's no shoulder strap. It's a 65 Mustang. It's just the waist strap. So my head goes forward. Oh. Bam! Right into the steering wheel. And it's one of those hard plastic steering wheels, right? It's got no cover on it, right? It's one of those things, right? So I have a scar right here from that, and immediately they got me to the hospital. They stitched me up, blood everywhere. It was awesome. And they put a big bandage on it. So I had this big white bandage that kind of looked like this.
Right.
for the whole weekend and 2 black eyes. I looked like a fucking raccoon.
Oh no.
You must have been a god to the people in the men's group,
Right.
just you
yeah.
looked like, tough, right?
Yeah, because they said, what happened? I said, well, I don't have time to explain, but you should see the other guy. Yeah.
Classic.
Yeah, and all the women were like, oh, you're so hot. Your nose bandage.
What woman? Wait, you had women showing up at the men's?
Well, there was a men's and women's leadership conference, and so like there was a group of women that were managing the room upstairs, and then there's a group of men and myself managing the room downstairs, and so I was managing a group of men and women to produce the event. Yeah.
After they're separated, the men and women got together and
yes, and partied and and shook hands and hugged and and chatted and socialized and all that stuff. Well, it wasn't COVID, thankfully, at that time.
Right.
So we could hug and touch. So yeah. What? Sorry, go ahead.
Did you have the same kind of thing where you got really like loopy, like felt like super high from the endorphins when you cracked your nose?
Yeah, I was in total shock. I mean, so and it took about 3 days afterwards before I realized it's like I really smacked my head hard, didn't I?
You did.
Thankfully, no concussion. Thankfully.
That's good.
So yes. Henry, what's happening with the men's movement now?
I think that.
Yeah, what happened to that great idea?
Look, here's what's really cool is I think that it peaked in the 90s and then it kind of started to dwindle like in the early 2000s and then
Me Too kind of killed it.
Well, that and also the exploration of as you said, gender is identity is a construct where it's now there's LGBTQ plus, and all that. So it's like it's become a more of an open conversation. But at that time, when the men's movement was going on at that time, it was for men to find their masculine identity or to connect with their masculine identities again. But it's just because it's all changing and it's expanding and it's being more inclusive, that it's no longer about because at the time when I did it, it was like trying to recapture that sort of masculine connection, how like it was in the 50s. But that's all changed now. Yeah,
that changed.
That's all changed.
Yeah, that's kind of good. But Henry, one thing, I think it was kind of like you had the method experience. You didn't have the actual experience of male, injury in a physical fight, but you got the method, like the actor's experience.
Oh my God, it's
smashed
so good.
Your Mustang into a wall.
Oh, that was
so you were left with the permanent scars of a guy who'd been in a fist fight, right?
Oh, and then also like smacking up a Mustang. It's like how dare you? As a man, how dare you smack up a beautiful car like that? It's like, well.
But what could be more macho than smashing up your Mustang, right?
Exactly, because I could say you should see what the wall got.
Right. I'm never going to look at that wall in the same light.
Well, just that section, because I think there's still, Henry was here.
Okay.
Wow.
Dog's still barking. My dog is still barking, so I'm going to take myself off for a second.
Okay.
Okay, and I'll bring on our next guest.
You will. All
right. So while Jen is taking care of her dog, Kato, we are going to bring on our next guest, and I've known this guy for sure 30 years. He's there's never a dull moment with him. He's an actor, he's a writer, he's got his own podcast thing called the Hollywood Chill Pack Hour. I think that's been going on for 8 years or so, and he's going to tell us about that. And so welcome, Dean Haglund.
Hey, look at that. What the hell?
Hey.
30 years, Lipa, you and I. That would be more like 40. Ah, look at that. Where in God's name did you steal that from?
I got it because I had a day on your stupid show. And then there's this.
What? Ah.
Nice.
Is that signed?
Who's that guy?
Fuck, look at that, eh? Jesus. That's 30 years ago. Never mind.
It's like, remember when we used to call you the albino Geddy Lee?
Don't.
Oh my God.
Yes. And then I had a hat that said albino Canadian TV star.
Nice.
So, oh yeah. So, all albino jokes. I miss those.
I
Oh,
know. Now, where are you
damn it.
coming to us from today, Haglin? Not
Oh
Vancouver.
my gosh. No, my new place in Detroit, Michigan. Woohoo!
Shut up.
Those not wearing masks are carrying guns. Carrying guns. Let the freedom. The badoosh doosh. 2020 kabanga. Oh, very stupid. Holy crap.
I hope
Like,
that's not how you got your scar.
No, that's my next scar story. That'll happen next week. Jesus. No, it's nuts here. Everybody's insane. Imagine Norman Rockwell pictures. I live in that kind of suburban gloriousness, but
Oh.
you know, but you paint it with guns and masks, and you know, it's Michigan. It's pure Michigan. That's what the license plates say. Pure Michigan.
Pure
Dean.
Michigan.
Hi, Jen. How are you?
Well, I'm fine. I locked my dog in the bathroom. Sorry about that. He was just
Wow.
barking. He was barking because my contractor's here. So I know it sounds like a setup for a porno, and it's still
Wow.
to be. I'm hot, my contractor. He's in the
Wow.
basement.
What are you getting done? What work you doing?
I don't know.
I'm
Little
curious.
hammering.
Yes.
Suddenly you hear an electric toothbrush. There you go.
My contractor.
Don't chip a tooth.
Fantastic. Oh my gosh.
Why are you in
So great.
Detroit? Why?
Well, my better half, she is a senior accountant executive for company 136 on the Fortune 500. So we were in Australia. She was CFO of Asia Pacific Penske. And then she got promoted to corporate head office. And they packed us up and moved us here. And we bought a house and got a dog and a cat. And now the whole thing. So, yeah. She's
Gee.
a big. I
Are you
know.
a rent boy now?
This is
And
my
so-
studio over the garage. I paint. That's my
Oh.
watercolors. That's my oils. I'm putting in a steam room just over there myself. So yeah. So am I a
And
rent
so-
boy? Yeah.
Haglin,
Yeah.
so with your first big paycheck in Detroit, did you buy yourself that gaming chair?
Pew, 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 pew. No, I'm working on another virtual TV show in a virtual set where two guys are stuck in space and the plane and the ship blows up every episode, and it's called Gravity Hole. However, yeah, so we needed a spaceship looking chair.
Oh,
Yeah.
cool.
But this is technically a green screen studio as
Nice.
well as an art studio,
Sweet.
oil, and yeah, it's got it all. I'm doing stop motion animation over there too. So
Wow.
Jesus,
Wow.
what
You
project am I
lazy
not
asshole.
doing? Yeah, did I mention none of it's finished? Yeah,
And you don't sleep?
that I don't sleep. That's true.
Well, there's
Up at
still
5
time.
every day. Yeah, that's right. That's right, Jen. There's still time. That's the spirit. Good
So
Lord.
tell us your scar story, buddy.
Oh my
Come
God.
on.
Yeah, right. Look, can you see it? It's right there.
Oh.
Yeah.
That is
Can.
14 stitches on the outside and
Ooh.
8 on the inside.
Ooh.
That's how deep it went down, right to the bone. So much so that they didn't at Vancouver General, they didn't stitch it up for 2.5 hours so the med students could come through
Oh,
and
that's
see
nice.
all the layers down to your skull. So yeah. In fact, and it's so funny when you contacted me, I have a picture of me. That is me. And look at that scar
Oh,
right
Dee.
there.
Oh, there it
Jesus.
is.
There it is.
You've got that Van Halen hair.
I know it. Ooh, look at that shot. That was my headshot. That's how I got in the X-Files. That's
Just from doing
Look
that.
You look like Alexander Goodenough.
I know, right? Remember those beer commercials that he was doing in Canada?
Yeah.
Yeah. So
He never
anyway,
stopped doing a beer commercial. It's quite tragic.
I know, right? He actually drank so much he stopped his heart. Isn't that how he died?
Yeah.
Like I didn't
That
know he
was
could
the
booze it.
beer commercial that never ended.
And he was married to Jacqueline Bisset. You would think there would be
Not married, but
what?
sorry. Not married.
Oh, Jesus.
Oh, way to go.
He told me they
Please,
weren't married.
can we mute-
What do I
can
know?
we mute our phones. If it's not the dogs, it's the cats.
Or the phones.
Are you gonna
I'm
play
gonna be
Nelson
scarred.
Motte? You gonna blame the
Okay.
cat on that one too? Anyway, what are we talking about? Oh, the
Your
scar.
Your scar.
So the year was 1989, 1990. Me, Jan Derbyshire,
Oh.
and a guy named Stephen Fowler did a fringe show called, ironically, You'll Put Your Eye Out,
Oh.
the comedy of Oedipus. And it was a big hit, sold out every night.
Nice.
But our only two props were these giant Roman Greek columns made out of paper mache. And it was my job after every night to store them in my studio that I had behind the American Hotel on Main Street. Do you remember that place, Lipa? Did you ever come there?
Yeah, I do. I do remember that place. It was pretty dodgy, but pretty fun.
It was pretty fun, then dodgy. Oh,
I didn't know you had a place there. I could have stayed there.
Well, it's a studio, and
I know.
Well, you would have sleep on top of the column, Jen. That's all. You would have put you on top, like put a platform on top of the column.
Frickin'
climb the
office.
ladder.
Well, I didn't know, Jen. You could have stayed there. There was like a Pilates mat for a mattress, but
So good. So
so
good.
good. I did. I apologize now. It's anyway. So part of the decor, it had like 20-foot ceilings, and I had placed mirrors up at the high end of the ceiling so that it would reflect the light, because there was only windows on one side, so to bounce light around in the room, because I was doing photography in there. I put these mirror fragments. They were mere fragments.
Oh no.
And so when I brought in at 1 a.m. by myself these very large 18-foot Roman columns made out of paper mache, I was leaning them up against the wall, and one started sliding. So I really quickly like straightened it, but overcompensated and knocked the mirror off, and it came flying down towards my head, snapped in midair, and I ducked, and it just went zing like that. It could have cut my head off if I had not ducked. So it bing like that, and I went, and then shattered all over the floor. Just, I'm like, oh my God. And I grabbed a pair of shorts, my prop shorts that I wore in the show, and I just jammed it against my head. And I thought, if I had cut this artery right here,
Yes.
I'm bleeding out in 8 minutes. I knew that, right? So I like, oh fuck, oh my God. So then I run down to the car. 1 a.m., no one is in this neighborhood. It's like a deserted back alley behind the American Hotel. And I make a decision. I either drive up Main Street and make a right on Broadway and go to the hospital, or I go to the viaduct, go back to Commercial Drive, and go get Florentia, my ex now, go get Florentia, and then she can drive me in case I pass out going to the hospital. So,
Or you could have gotten a train at the Via Rail train station, gone to Kamloops.
down to Kamloops and say, does this look bad?
Yeah.
Or you could have just trusted, if you believed in quantum physics, that your other selves were taking care of it. They'd either had their head cut off, and you were definitely in the narrative that was going to survive.
Oh, see,
That
if
one.
only I had that presence of mind of my quantum multiple personalities.
Right.
Damn it.
Right.
That's stupid of me. Anyway, so I drove up to Commercial Drive, and then, but I thought there'd be tons of blood coming out, but there was no blood. So I'm like, oh, well, maybe it's not so bad. Maybe, because I had no mirror to look to see because it was shattered. So I'm like, oh, you know what? I bet maybe it's just a little scratch. I don't think this is bad at all. So I go into the house, and now it's like 1:30 in the morning, and I open the bedroom door and I go, hey, Florentia, does this look bad? And she ran straight, like out of not even touching the floor, just she launched herself from the bed into the car while I'm still saying the word bad. And she said she could see my skull, and half my face is just hanging down, like off my skull, like my eye, like it's folded over, and you could see all the way in. But somehow miraculously, I missed every major blood vessel artery thing.
Yeah.
So then she drove me to the hospital, and everybody's like, holy shit, what'd you do? Take a scalpel to your head? That's the cleanest cut we've ever seen. And so they were going to They put in 8 dissolving stitches underneath that dissolved into your body.
Right.
And then they were going to put 13 stitches. But I said, look, I just broke a mirror. It's 8 years bad luck. Can you give me an extra stitch? So they gave me 14 stitches. And then that's the how you look. And then I came to, I think I improvised. I did the show the next night with a big, stupid piece of, I did the Fringe show the very next night with a giant chunk of gauze on my head.
Nice.
And,
The Fringe show, because I thought, I don't
Fringe show.
remember you at theater sports with that thing on your head.
Yeah, no. So we finished out the Fringe Festival. I think it was 2 more weeks of show.
Whoa.
But yeah, I know, right? So every doctor I've seen, they go, "Oh, would you have a brain tumor?" Like that was surgical. Like, no.
That's what they open with? Like they don't even offer you a drink or?
No. When I go to a hospital to for a checkup or something.
Or for
go,
fun.
"Oh, yeah, or for fun." Or, stick the old finger up there. "Hey, what's that doing?"
You say lobotomy. Do you ever say lobotomy?
Yeah. I'd rather have a bottle in front of me than a frontal lobotomy.
Right?
Right.
Totally.
Well, that's great.
Isn't that amazing? Yeah,
That's a great scar story.
That's a doozy right there.
Yeah,
You can
it
see
is.
it.
Shit.
Yeah.
And the fact that I have it from 1990, looking like
Right.
Wham. It's unbelievable.
It is like Wham.
I know, right?
80s hairband, totally.
Totally.
Right.
Oh,
That's a
God.
great story.
Yeah.
You remember it. Oh no, I guess I didn't go to theater sports that month, right? So nobody would have known that.
No, but I
Yeah, right.
remember you saying, a mirror fell on me, and all of us would go, "Of course, it's fucking Haglund. This fucking mirror is good." Hey guys,
Totally.
look how many stitches I got.
Oh my God.
Stitches.
Stitches. So many stitches. Oh yeah, remember that? That was from the. Oh yeah. You turned to me and go, "Hey, what scene should we do with theater sports?" Stitches. Stitches. I like stitches. Oh my God.
I do
funny.
like stitches. Well, that's fantastic.
Oh,
What a way to
sorry.
introduce yourself to somebody.
Yeah.
Right.
I'm all there. Oh yeah. So true.
So
Very
shall
true.
we continue this chuckle fest with
It's a chuckle fest.
we have a new segment,
Oh,
right?
We are introducing a new segment, and we have the best person to launch our new segment. Eileen Barrett is a fabulous actor and educator, and she's also a person who does live audio description and for theater, which of course is a bit of a no-go at the moment. But and Eileen just graduated from the master's program at SFU in Graduate Liberal Studies, where I am also in, but Eileen is more, let's say, a better role model of that program. And we had to read a lot of fucking books. So
Well, it is school,
Eileen,
so.
Eileen is going to do our new segment called The Book Report.
Oh. Okay.
Now,
Hey.
I do How to Scar.
Oh,
Skating school field trip just shows you how bendy kids are. I managed to get a figure skate up into my lip and split it open. And not similar to Dean's, because nothing can stop Dean's. When they got me to the hospital, maybe it was because it was in Coquitlam, they decided to let an intern stitch me up. That is until Betty Barrett, my mother, got there. I could hear her. She was a gentle, kind woman, but it was just like, "Get a real doctor for my daughter." And then that was the end of the intern. But my lip was over like that for the rest
Wow.
of, And then the kind-hearted teacher, in air quotes, the next time we had a field trip said, "Nothing better happened to you." Just as I was
that
sitting
was
on the
nice.
bus.
That's nice.
Because teachers had a lot of empathy in those days. So so it's still
Oh.
there. But it's not
Was
nice
it the
and clean.
pick? Was it the pick part of the?
Yeah,
of the
right. I
blade?
know. Like
Okay.
you couldn't have planned that. There's no way you could have planned that. But it was the pick went right. So it's all raggedy.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. The pick
Wow.
is that toothy part of the
In the
figure
front of the
skate,
skate.
right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
just designed to rip into, little kids' skin. So there
I'm
you
more
go.
impressed of the flexibility it would take. That's quite,
Exactly, because kids are
Yeah.
bendy. Yeah,
yeah,
Right.
that's amazing.
yeah.
Kids are
Okay.
bendies. So what book did you read, and what are you going to tell us about, Eileen?
Normal
People.
people.
By Sally Rooney.
By Sally Rooney. Okay, so I'm just to get us into the Irishness of this book, because it is very, very Irish.
It is.
Lipa, can you do me a favor?
Yeah.
I would like you to say, because this will help us. I would like you to say, okay, the words, and I'm going to spell this out for you: WHALE,
Whale,
OIL,
oil,
Oil.
BEEF,
beef,
HOOKED.
hooked. Whale,
Now say them
oil,
all.
beef, hooked. Whale, oil, beef,
Right.
hooked.
Mhm.
There you are. That's
Whale,
all you
oil,
need
beef
to be
hooked.
able to do an
Whale,
Irish
oil,
accent.
beef.
There you
Whale,
go.
oil,
Whale,
beef.
We all
Whale,
try that?
whale,
Whale,
oil,
be
beef
fucked.
Whale,
Whale,
oil,
oil,
beef,
beef
hooked.
hooked.
I
And
said
there
There
was
you
a
are.
lot of fucking in that book.
Well, there is. There's more in the TV show, but yeah. So yeah, normal people. Okay, how to make us all us old people feel completely inadequate. Sally Rooney was 26 when she came out with her first book, Conversations with Friends. That even before it was out, there were publishers just screaming to get hold
Right.
of this book. So when this one came out, a year later, there were more. So I mean, you could hate her, except when I went and looked her up. I like to dive down rabbit holes of information, as Jen knows. She's completely charming and lovely, and a bit of a Marxist, and that's threaded all the way through this book. Now, talk about scars. Like, you got your emotional scars, you got your scars, whatever. This is, I mean, it's perfect for this theme that we've got going on here. But we've got Connell and we've got Marianne.
That's
And
right.
see, that's them. It's pretty much, it's a how one person life can be affected by that other person, for better,
Right.
for worse, for whatever it is.
Right.
So I completely disagree with all these takes on it. Oh, it's like a Romeo and Juliet story. It's much more than that, but it definitely is it's those people that we meet at those moments in our lives who are going to be with us for better or for worse for the rest of our lives. So it's a
Hagland.
pretty, what's that? Like your cat?
Hagland.
Is that what? Oh, Hagland. I thought you were pointing at your cat, like my cat.
Norman.
I have news for you. They
The
don't
rest of
live
my
that
life.
long.
Yeah, no, geez. No, I could outlive that cat.
We all haven't left each other, in fact.
That's right.
Yeah,
That's right.
God.
In all. I know.
Whale,
Yeah.
oil, beef
So,
hooked.
and whale oil be fucked. But but a lot of it takes place at Trinity University in Dublin, not to be confused with Trinity University in England. And I loved everything about this book, because also too,
Oh, she froze.
Oh,
You're frozen.
Uh,
You're fucked.
Well, she's
and the
been
main
Eileen.
point of the book is
Well, I'll be fucked if you don't come back. Well,
Oh, there you
Connell
are.
and
There she is.
Marianne meet each other the last year of high school, and
she
it's-
doesn't know.
I know.
You
never
froze.
know.
You froze
Froze.
momentarily.
It was like,
I fr-
you
and
were,
then
you were fucked.
I was
You were
fucked.
fucked.
Am I back?
yep.
Yes.
Now you
All
are,
that
yeah.
came up was unstable, and I thought
Yes.
truer words were never spoken.
Ooh.
Right. So our two protagonists meet each other in the last year of high school, and there's all kinds of stuff that goes on. They go through this thing called the Debs, which, for all intents and purposes, is their prom. Which I found out the average kid who has one of these, I think grad is bad here. It averages out to be about 875 euros that the average Irish kid will spend, which is
On whiskey?
well over $1,000. Well over $1,000. I know, isn't that crazy?
Wow.
Yeah. And then that's before university or working or anything else. And
Yes.
So they can get fucked.
but a lot of them have
Could
been
be a
doing
bargain.
that before, and most of them get so drunk at the Debs that there's not a lot of that happens, because they're to quote the book, passed out under the table by the time dessert is served.
Nah, I've been there. Huh?
Yeah. But this,
That was
I
Fort
think
St. John.
Right.
Oh my God. Oh, Jesus.
but yeah, but I think I think it's a really interesting. I mean, they're white. They're arguably very privileged. They're very they're often living in university life. But what I did like about it is definitely it's like a microcosm of that world that's beautifully articulated, and it's one of those. It doesn't make any pretenses to be anything other than very specific with the people and the time, even the time. Like a lot of things have changed. It was published in 2011, but a lot of things have even changed in Ireland since then. But I mean, she really beautifully illustrates. They were just in the middle of that massive recession at that point, and even it affected everybody's lives, including even locations that they go to. Like they go to this place called the Ghost House or the Ghost Estate.
Right.
There was sort of whole sections of Dublin that were being built and then just abandoned.
Right.
So they're kind of growing in the middle of, the beautiful pastoral countryside and things like that. But there are also, there's this sort of just bleakness of abandoned houses and things like that around. So that has changed. Also, even the way that they leave school, like the hugely pressured exams and things that they have to do, even that has changed. So this is very much a book of its time, but I still think it holds up and will hold up as at that time and at that place kind of thing.
So
Eileen,
I talked to my friend
Sure.
who's 26, who's a huge fan of her first book. And I know this book really, really spoke to her on that level. So it's a nice insight into.
and it's a
People who are a lot younger
CBC
than us.
series now too, isn't it?
Right.
Is it a CBC series?
Well, it's being shown on CBC Gem, but it's
Right.
I think it's a Hulu series that got picked up by Gem, and the thing that's really cool about that series is they proactively went and got the #1 rated intimacy coordinator.
yeah,
Nice.
Who's working, and it is.
Bloody well had
That's
to.
how I first sort of hooked into it because I was really interested in. I thought maybe I'd like to take the training, but that's not happening anytime soon, right?
Yes.
There's not a lot of call for it right now.
Yeah.
But the intimacy that is throughout, because so much of the book is internal. The intimacy that is throughout the series is so beautifully done and woven into the story.
Yeah.
There's nothing jarring.
Nice.
There's nothing awkward about it, even though it is, it's arguably like scenes of an awkward, the first time through people
Sure.
getting to know each other's bodies. Everything is woven beautifully in and completely empowered and talked through and choreographed,
Nice.
which both of the two actors were saying it just let them do their jobs
Yeah.
so that they
Right.
could throw themselves completely into the
Yeah.
task at hand rather than thinking about, well, oh gosh, is this take going to be okay? And it also made the crew's job a lot easier because
Yeah.
they felt more comfortable knowing,
Yeah.
okay, we're all in good hands.
Yeah.
Everybody knows
Right.
exactly what's going to happen.
Lot
So
of
it just made the craft really, really that much finer.
I had an acting teacher in LA who had that she said, you got to have the talk, no matter if you're doing independent, whatever, you and that actress separate yourself and go, you can touch me here, don't touch me there. That's from, all of that. And you go very specifically through your whole body so that when the scene happens, there's no like, oh yeah, you get what the good. None of that.
This is just, this is also too, it's like choreographed,
Yeah.
like you would a fight, which
Yeah, right.
like you would a fight, like you would a dance. So it
Also,
just makes it, and also too, they talked about, because film is shot out of sequence and everything.
Yes.
At what point in story are we? And how is that different?
Mm.
How is that
Wow.
different from, when you've
Yeah.
known somebody
Yeah.
for 2 years, as opposed to this is your first point of contact. So you don't know that
Right.
body, but you do. Just quite elegant and beautiful.
And it's
Yeah.
also, the book's written by a woman, yeah?
Oh yeah, she's a very young
Yeah.
woman. Yeah.
So it totally makes sense to me that an intimacy coordinator would have to do that because it's like as a man, going back to that man thing, we do intimacy completely different, like as you probably already know from personal experience. So
Really?
So you're right. So well, I mean, as we get older, like fine wine, we get a little more refined, thankfully or hopefully. But that
What?
totally makes sense to me. That that it would be beautifully unfolding because there's that understanding of intimacy that a lot of men don't have, also in our industry.
But and also because so much of it is internal, like you get, I mean, you
Yes.
get the two, what they call reliable narrators in the book, where you know what's going on in their head. But the actor who actually played Connell in the series, he took it on as it's a tremendous challenge because he kept the book with him always because he says so little. Like he does say a lot, but it's all about what is it that he cannot articulate because
Nice.
he doesn't know
Right.
how it's going to sound coming out of his head. And that's because that's a major problem that they have all throughout the book, is these constant misinterpretations of things as we.
Absolutely. I just find it's hilarious, really. It really is. Like, it's like, oh, I'm sorry, I didn't tell you we were breaking up.
And they weren't. It's just, but that's, and that's what ends up happening anyway. But I do love to, the author as well too. I look forward to her next works because she's also, her own moral dilemma is writing and art as a commodity, because she views herself as quite a Marxist, and that is threaded through both of the two characters as well too. That the whole idea, and there's one scene where one of the characters does go to a book launch, and he's sitting there thinking, so this is, however nice this person is, however much they're writing about, enlightened things, this is to sell a product.
Right.
So it's the commodification of the art.
Absolutely.
And how much, and Sally Rooney's whole thing is how much am I a part of that? And then to some extent, the books as commodities, but also relationships as transactions as well.
Oh.
Right. And Connell, he calls it writing literature is culture as class performance, is he not?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's
Well, and
good.
he's also, a kid coming from Sligo, which they, of course, with the diphthong pronounced Sligo, the west of Ireland. That's the whole other thing, is the whole Dublin culture divide thing. And it's complete fish out of water, going from a kid who was really popular in high school, the soccer player star, even though he's always been an introvert, going to a place like Trinity where he is complete fish out of water, doesn't know what he's doing.
Mhm.
And what was I going to say? It was going to be something really brilliant and pithy, Jen. But
It's all right. Neither of us went to Trinity. We went to
we didn't go to Trinity. We didn't go to Trinity. No, we didn't. Which up until I think it was up until the 1950s, you couldn't be Catholic and go there because it was founded by
It's a Protestant school,
Protestant.
right?
So you had to go to UCD, which was the University College Dublin. So yeah, you couldn't go.
Wow.
Well,
Right.
how could you even?
Wow.
They must have had only 2 pupils.
No, because there's tons of Protestants in the Republic of Ireland. They owned all the land for a long time.
Right,
That's
but not in the
Delta.
south where Dublin is. Right.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. No, they did. But I mean, they
Took the
yeah,
train.
that'd be a whole other political thing that we're going to get into. But it didn't mean that they couldn't own land anymore. They didn't get
No.
rid of them. Kind of like us with
Right.
we haven't been kicked out of our houses, even though we hopefully have recognized that we're living on
Other people's land, yeah.
occupied territory, right?
Yes,
So,
yeah.
so all that money that was poured into building Trinity University, it was just like that was for the, that was for the offspring of the Protestant people who owned most of the land
Oh,
up until
Wow.
fairly recent. Okay, interesting fact, because I do love these. I'm sounding pedantic again. When you're doing your school leaving certificate in Ireland, I love this. You can book an extra 10% if you do the papers in the Irish language. So
Oh,
if you suck at everything except that, then you should definitely do all of your stuff.
Wow.
so
Yeah,
just give us a capper here.
crazy.
Why should people read the book, Eileen?
why should people read the book? I think she's a brilliant new voice. It's a very easy read as well too. You can I think people pick it up and they think I'm going to pick it up and put it down, but they just get another cup of tea and then read it. But I think I think we've all been there. People our age have all been there at some point with that, those feelings where you're turning yourself inside out. And you kind of, I would say for somebody my age, you just want to put your arms around the characters and hug them and say it's going to be okay. But I'd say for those I know of my son's generation, it's just like you're living it right now. She's a really honest voice, I think. And
Nice.
boy,
Oh no, I
love.
loved Marianne and Connell, but
And they're so damaged. They're so
They're so
damaged.
damaged.
Oh, damaged.
they made me believe in love.
I
But
want to hug them now.
oh, you
Yeah.
do.
But not necessarily romantic love that's all gonna, work out with the bells and whistles and roses and things like that. Just the
Is
way
the
that
TV
people
series as good as the book?
it's different, Dean. It's good in a
Yeah.
different way. Yeah.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
It is.
So I can't just watch the series and go, I read the book, like I do
Oh.
everything else.
Not like Lord of the Rings.
But it's worth it.
Oh,
It's definitely worth it. I loved the series. It looks very European the way it's shot.
Oh,
There's a
that's good.
lot
Oh,
of
really?
like point of view
Very
shots over the main character's shoulders. We're following them somewhere so we can see what they're seeing and that sort of thing.
And
Yeah.
Conversations with Friends, her first book, is now going to be made into a series.
Right.
Oh,
So,
Yeah. So
But-
much as Sally Rooney's a bit concerned about earning money,
she's
she's
making
going
it
to be
his
able
own.
to retire very soon.
Well, my takeaway from all this is that I should get an intimacy coordinator into my life so that I don't have any
For you.
awkward moments of like queefing halfway through a beautiful moment in the
Right.
sack
With your cat.
with my cat. And I'm going to get an intimacy patch for his asshole so that when he
Right.
comes,
You come strolling by, it's like, hey.
yeah.
Yeah.
So, well, that's awesome. Well, I think the first segment of the book club was awesome. Great.
A roaring
Start us off.
success.
It was.
Say it again for us, Eileen. How to
What,
speak?
whale
Irish.
oil be fucked or what?
Oil be hooked.
Whale
Whale oil
hooked.
beef hooked.
Whale
Whale
oil.
oil.
be hooked.
Whale oil be
Well, you'd be
hooked.
full.
Well, we'll oil be fucked until next week.
And if anybody says to you in an Irish pub, do you want to go for a ride? Don't. Unless you're really attracted to them, because that means
Oh.
having sex.
Or a bullet in the head, right?
No.
That's in the north.
I hope
Only
those
in the
are two
north.
different phrases.
Right, okay. Only the north, got it.
Different
Fucking
time.
Henry.
All right.
Oh my God.
All right.
Or Detroit.
Ah, Detroit. Yeah, we don't say that.
We'll see you
Well-
later.
We'll have to do this again, folks. Thanks so much for everything.
Thanks.
That was
fun.
awesome.
Bye.
Yeah.
Love you.
Bye.
Bye.
Hurrah.
I don't.
Scar tissue that I wish you saw. Sarcastic Mr. Know It All. I'll close your eyes and I'll kiss you, cause with the birds I'll share. With the birds I'll share this lonely view. And with the birds I'll share this lonely view. And push me up against the